Hello.
Hey, what's going on?
What's up? What's up?
We
Happy
are
Friday
live.
Eve. I know. I'm feeling a little live. Feeling a little live, y'all. So,
You know what? I can use some of that right now, actually.
cheers. Cheers. I try not look. I try to go local as much as I
Uh-huh.
possibly can.
Yeah.
Night was a drive-through night, so Starbucks with the drive-through. So thank you,
Hey,
Starbucks.
there you go.
Drive-through. All my other local coffee shops, can y'all please get a drive-through? Because that one I would support you more. Because
Yes.
there was no time. So, hi guys, how is everybody? Welcome back. We've missed
Yes.
we've missed y'all.
It's been a while.
It has. It's been like I don't know, over a month or two. Ashley, hello, good to see you. When you guys join us, pop a comment and let us know you're here. Tell us hello. And today I want to hear your where you're joining from, but what's your favorite Thanksgiving food? Because it's almost Thanksgiving.
Mm.
So
Hey, you already know me, Jasmine. Sweet potato pie all day.
Renee, sweet potato pie. We're gonna have to have y'all get schooled on who's got the best sweet potato pie on the market. Let's see if anyone can guess what Renee's favorite sweet potato pie on the
Oh
market
man.
is.
Let me tell you, for any
Mhm.
Any true sweet potato pie fans, they gotta know this. You have to know this right there. So
And that's it. That's when that'd be oh, okay. Certified. Certified. I love it. If you know Renee's sweet potato pie, then for sure you guys get extra points. When we get our little badges, we'll give you like an extra cool badge for that because he's the sweet potato pie is near and dear to his heart.
yes, yes it is.
Oh,
Yes
I
it
love it.
is.
Christy. Hey, Christy. Good to see you. Corn casserole and mudslide pie. Mudslide pie. Oh my gosh, I have not had that in so
Mhm.
long.
I've never had that before.
It is so good. It's like mocha deliciousness with crunchy stuff
Oh,
and so good. So good. I haven't had yes, Iris says sweet potato pie. Ashley, mac and cheese. Girl, I just got done telling so I am coming from another like this corporate yoga event that we do with these really delightful teens and they were sharing with me their favorite Thanksgiving meals and so many of them said mac and cheese, Ashley, and truth it is my favorite. I'm gonna say currently still is my favorite. However, I haven't eaten it in like 3 years since I became
ooh,
yeah.
shame
And I
on you,
won't
Jasmine.
I know, and I won't eat anybody else's like, vegan mac and cheese because I'm like, if I'm gonna eat mac and cheese, I'm just gonna eat the real deal. Because what's the
Yes.
purpose of eating mac and cheese if you can't have all of the stuff, right? The
Yep.
deliciousness. My mom makes
Mm.
like the best mac and cheese, and she I think learned that from my aunt originally, and
Ooh.
it's got like those Italian breadcrumbs on the top and just like perfectly
Oh,
everything,
oh. I
everything.
definitely gotta. I definitely have to come over. I'll be a flight away. Tell
Yes.
Mama Joyce to get that macaroni and cheese ready.
Oh, trust me, it's so popular. Like, there's always a 2 tray Thanksgiving at least in our house. Like, you can't go wrong with the extra mac and cheese. Everybody loves it. It's like
Nice.
where you hope that there's so much leftovers that it lasts you for at least like 2 weeks after Thanksgiving.
Hmm. And
Oh,
leftovers is the best too. I mean,
it
the
is
seasoning settle
definitely.
in is the
Yeah,
best. Can't go wrong.
Thanksgiving is becoming exciting as we get really creative with the foods because as a vegan and Thanksgiving, it's like
It's
you have to
tough.
like yeah, you got to have a lot of different sides, like a lot
Mm.
of different sides. So y'all, I'm so happy to see you guys. You probably have noticed that we haven't gone live for a while, and that is because poor Jasmine went for a very long stretch without a voice, like
Mm.
literally y'all, my voice was gone. Like it was first just fading away. You guys might have noticed it probably sometime in like September. I sounded real squeaky. And then it just started disappearing on me. So there you go. That's where I've been. Over here without a voice. So but since then, so much has changed, and now Renee is hello. He's gonna be a regular. Whoop, 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 whoop. So, Mr. Lumaine, we figured out that we probably should finish the last conversation that we were having together because we didn't get a chance to wrap up. So, as you guys are showing up and popping into the comments, make sure you comment and tell us where you're coming in from. And we said Thanksgiving, favorite Thanksgiving food this time. So, we're going to be super mindful about time. So we're going to change our format a little bit, but I want you guys to ask questions as they come up. But as they come up in the comments, we are going to hold them and we'll do all the questions at the end. But I want you all to do what you typically do, talk to each other, have the conversation. And we just want to make sure that we're mindful of your time. So we're you guys know this by now that we've got the gift of gab. So, so we could talk about this stuff all day and night. I mean, it is night. So, and we've seen each other since how early this morning, Renee?
Oh my gosh.
So
8 o'clock, 9 o'clock this morning.
Yes, y'all. So, so today we're continuing our conversation. What are we talking about, Renee? What are we talking about?
So I think last time we talked a little with payment posting, but this time.
We are continuing the conversation about billing software must-haves. So we are almost on the daily having conversations about other software that exists in the world that just is lacking luster for us as billers. There's just way too many systems out there that just don't have it going on. I mean, like we've talked about this at great length in the past because it's just so important that if you're running a practice or you are in an administrative position in a hospital system or any sort of larger group, so incredibly important that you care about the tools that you've given to your team that drive the revenue for your business. It matters more than you think. And I know so very important that we want patients to have a great experience with EHR tools and all the other, bells and whistles that come along with that for, for providers writing prescriptions and things referrals outside that they need a system that functions. But just as important as all of that stuff are the tools that you give your billing team. I cannot stress that enough because it is just ignored. So, Renee.
It's like, for example, we were talking with a client today and it just kind of blew my mind, right? Because whenever, somebody is using an EMR system, and especially when the EMR system doesn't have that practice management component or just billing component to it, to where now you have to do things manually. Oh my goodness, the manpower it takes, right, to be able to manually create, a spreadsheet. And, as you mentioned, Jasmine, you're basically creating your own software platform using Excel spreadsheets to where you have to document, how many charges were put in, how many denials were there, and then you're having to put in your notes, and then you're tracking collections by patient, by insurance. And whenever you have systems that doesn't allow other platforms to integrate into it, then you are going to be in for a rude awakening, right? Because now everything is going to be manually. And as that client continues to grow and grow and grow, it's going to take even more time, more manpower to really track everything. And then eventually it's just not sustainable. And so for me today, it was just one of those things where it's like, wow, only if that client really understood the revenue cycle management, correct. I think they probably would have been more mindful of the type of EMR system that they were going to get. And so it's just,
I mean, the amount of revenue that's lost purely on, like a tribe said, clicking between screens. I mean, there's so much time lost just in that navigation that is not user friendly. User friendly is not even but workflow friendly, right? Like us as users, we like pretty things. It doesn't need to be pretty. Fine. If it's not pretty, fine. But it needs to, the workflow needs to make sense. And for billers, we have a very very specific way that we need to work depending on, the area, the screen that you need to manage. And I feel like, if you ask even just a handful of billers, you're going to get pretty similar answers as far as,
Yeah.
like, for example, what a tribe said, less clicking between screens. Like when you're posting, when you're doing stuff like changing insurance, you want something that's a bit more intuitive. Like the key phrase that I like to say when we talk about billing software. I'm going to drink my water because I'm thirsty and I'm holding the water bottle. Just hold it like it's a drink. No, I was saying that like the key things that a billing software should have is that it's intuitive. Like it
Yes.
should think like a biller. Like you
Yes.
literally should be able to sit down and, as a biller, especially someone who's got, years of experience, I should be able to sit down at your software and within a matter of maybe 15, 20 minutes know exactly where to go for certain things. Like,
Yeah.
and for the general revenue cycle, yeah, there might be some little nuances that might be unique to that software that may be a little bit, may require a little extra training. But if I sit down at a billing system, within 15 minutes, I should be able to navigate, know where I'm going to go based on the languaging, the labels of the
Mhm.
system, meaning the titles of the areas of the system. I mean, I've seen systems that try to be cool and come up with like names of areas that don't make any sense. Like, why do we need to reinvent the wheel? Like, this doesn't need to be like, you don't need to be unique there. Like, it just needs to be like claims manager, like, or whatever, a claims management
Mhm.
area, or like, something like a registration. Like it said, Lee, welcome back. It's so good to see you guys. It's so great to see y'all's faces in our and names in our chat. We've missed you. We've missed you. So we're talking software. So I would love to know, what is the biggest pain point for you guys here? A tribe already gave a vote for what's the biggest pain point, as we get started here looking and
Mhm.
talking about software. I don't want to share screen today per se. We did that last time, and I think it worked out well. I just think it might distract from the conversation a little bit. But if we just continue the conversation, picking up a little where we left off last time, which was around payment posting and some of
Mhm.
that ease of ERA processing. I mean, I'm still blown away with how many tools don't have an ERA processing tool.
Correct.
I mean, what in the world are they thinking? Like, what?
No, it's yeah, it's so true, because I think just for me, I've used several other billing platforms, but I think it really goes back to what you said, Jasmine. Honestly, when whoever created these billing platforms, did they have the biller in mind? And so the thing that came to mind was, you know, build by billers for billers, and so when you have a platform like that, whenever payments are coming in, that ERA, automatically flow right into the system and
Mhm.
even post it for you, right? And then of course, if there's any invoices that need to be generated, sometimes they may automatically generate it for you, or is that something that
Mhm.
can manually be done? But I mean, just even looking at all the different platforms out there, whether it's Ability, whether it's Cario, um, you have Charm. I mean, there's just so many of them out there.
Mhm.
But yeah, right. I mean, I think that that ease of use really makes a big difference, especially looking at reporting, right? Because when you have to post payments, you want to be able to easily identify what has been posted, what
Mhm.
may be outstanding, and then for you to just easily take care of it, because it's really about time, right? How quickly does each function take?
Yeah.
So that way you can be that much more efficient.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. With time, I mean, this whole conversation is, if we have a software that's built in the proper way, can save us time, right? Things that we
Sure.
know can be streamlined as billers, where we can save. I mean, you guys, I mean, old cliche, right? Time is money, and it's so true. Like, there's in healthcare, especially, there is so much waste in healthcare, and a lot of it, unfortunately, y'all, is on the business side. I'm getting a notification that there's something wrong with the connection. Can you guys still hear me okay?
Yeah, we can see you kind of start. You kind of sounded like T-Pain a little bit, but you came back.
Y'all didn't know I could do that. I got my T-Pain on. It's late. I got my drink. How does he say it? Let's see. Is it better now? It just went away from me. It sounds better.
Yes, it does.
Okay. All right. Technology. Sometimes it happens, even late night at the office.
It does.
Um, yes. So the software having the ability to save that time, to be able to have it built in a way that saves time, is probably one
Yeah.
of the most important things for all people, right? Not just
Mhm.
because it would be great as a biller to have less clicking and less, functions and things, but it really does. It directly leads back to waste in healthcare, right? A lot of
Mhm.
the waste is generated on these administrative tasks. I mean, yes, there's waste in the sense of what goes on from a clinical standpoint with patients, but when we talk about waste in and investing in tools because the software is messed up, like I've seen so many lackluster software that people just
Mhm.
they throw other software solutions on top of it to try to fix the broken software. Like, so now they, instead of having one system, they have four systems that do the billing because that's what they need. No, it's not. They don't need that. You need an all-in-one of some sort. Even if you can't
Sure.
get an all-in-one, let's say the clinical team is so attached to their system, you have to be willing to do what is best for the business and move the billing system to something that's going to save time, create more resources available for your billing team.
Mhm.
So tools like, for example, integrated eligibility, we talked about that last session.
Absolutely.
There ain't no reason this
Yep.
day and age that a system should not have integrated eligibility. Like, what is that? It makes no
No,
sense.
absolutely. And you know what? I think about Lean Six Sigma, and the reason why is because I
You're such a
remember.
nerd. You're such a nerd. That's why. I like your nerdiness. It's all good. Lean Six Sigma. Go ahead. Go ahead, nerd. Nerd vibes. If could put an emoji on his screen right now, it would be a little nerd. All right, go ahead. Continue being
It's,
nerdy.
you know, because I remember when I went through that training a couple of years ago, one thing they talk about in Lean Six Sigma is waste, right? So, for example, let's say we have five different billing platforms, and we get five different users to actually use it, and you can actually, let's say, if we're going to look at payment posting function or look at reporting, you can have all five of them use these different platforms and really see, okay, who is able to do this with ease of use. Who is able to generate reports a particular way? Is it customizable? And so basically you're able to look at how long it takes for these individuals to navigate it and use the function to really get the desired results, to look at how customizable are these reports, and basically kind of come up with all this information to truly identify what what works best and what doesn't, what the system is potentially lacking. And you would think this ultimate billing platform would be able to be created compared to what's currently out there,
I
right?
already hear like this, like, the sky opening and
Yeah,
dropping down this beautiful building software
right, right,
by billers for
exactly.
billers. Maybe that'll be the thing one day, Renee. That'll be the thing. No, so y'all, he's talking about Lean Six Sigma. If you're not familiar with Lean Six Sigma, and those of you who want to be in leadership positions in healthcare
Hmm.
or already in leadership position, and kind of, as I say, walked backwards into that position is typically how we make our way into that side of the administrative side of healthcare. You're just like, oh, I'm going to do this, and then eventually you're there. But Lean Six Sigma is absolutely something that you should look into. It's really, really valuable training that you can receive, and certification is available as well. So you can take a test to get
Hmm.
certified in Lean Six Sigma. But it's helpful in every industry. So even if let's say you're in healthcare now, and you might be navigating some other potentially some other industry down the road, it will be valuable. It'll be valuable for your home life. Like
Yep.
it will teach you ways and things to consider as you run through any kind of protocol or process for
Hmm.
everything. So absolutely look into that. Um, yeah. So
Absolutely.
I'm going to say it's just like backing up into the topic of denial capture. So we talked about payment posting. We talked about getting into kind of AR is what you were saying, like finding out clearly what's outstanding. Well, let's like preceding all of that, right, is having some sort of denial management tool. Like the number of systems that do not capture denials is just dumbfounding to me. I don't understand what's so challenging about it nowadays, especially because you can, with ANSI coding, you can literally have it just write a rule to capture specific ANSIs that are coming across any sort of depending on the actual denial, but a lot of different COs that you can write rules for that it COs meaning contractual obligations.
Hmm.
Those types of rejections and denials, software should be able to pick up. And ideally, if they capture that, you can prioritize those denials. So just like we would, I mean, those of you who've been around long enough in billing might remember, or you may still be doing this, I don't know. But like back in the day, we all had those like bins. We used to have a wall full of bins and like it's just an entire wall of bins.
Yeah.
And we had, each of us had about 4 or 5 different types of bins, some that were incoming mail, pending denials, AR reports. So at the end of the day, the team would have to stick their reports in those files, your bins. And then
Hmm.
another practices I've seen that they have the bins on their desks or whatever, like the billers do. I know some of you still probably have the setup like that. I know y'all, listen, healthcare, healthcare, we're like the last to be like, they're not thinking about like trying to reorganize our spaces in the billing area. But when the paper comes in, I'm sure that still it's got to go somewhere, right? But that was how all of the payment posting was done previously. So what would happen was EOBs would come in, someone
Hmm.
would be posting it, anything that got denied, that page of the EOB, if it was a bulk payment, it would get copied. They would like highlight the denial and then stick it in that person's box. And that was the job of the payment posting teams. They would do that all day long. And still to this day, I'm certain that there are a lot of practices that still follow that
Wow.
protocol. But now that can happen electronically for the most part, right? Because the
Hmm.
software can capture it for you. So looking
Right.
for a solution that does that, it can save a lot of work on the back end. So yes, absolutely, you're still going to want to do an AR report. You're going to want to have an AR report that is going to provide as much detail as you need. When I say AR, I'm saying accounts receivable or aging report, um, all valuable. But before you get to your AR report, you're going to want to work on denials because that is going to jump the list of urgency because they're giving you the reason why they're not paying your claim. Like if they're
Correct.
telling you, they say why we're not paying, you're going to want to take advantage of that information and use that information. And as I like to call them, they're breadcrumbs, right? It's leading you right to is it grandma's house? Where do the breadcrumbs go?
But another point I want to also mention to that too, when you see those denials, um, you might see it again in the future, right?
Mhm.
So these are things that you can make note of, understand what
Yeah,
the issue is and how to fix it. So when you do see it, you start moving a lot quicker through those denial claims and you're able to fix it in a timely manner.
absolutely. And that's a really good point because a really intelligent system and not a lot of them are. I'm just gonna put it out there. But
True.
I've seen some that have the ability to do what do they call them? Rules or like
Business rules.
business rules. Thank you. I was going to say work
Hmm.
rules. Yeah. Business rules that can say, when you see this denial, make this recommendation or, make this change or
Yep.
task this individual. So you now have some kind of more intelligence applied to the process. So when I
Hmm.
say that, it is artificial, but it is intelligence. We're grateful for that kind of use of intelligence for sure. I absolutely think that there's a lot of ways that we can leverage really strong technology. Simple tweaks. When I say simple, I mean these are just basic algorithms. Capture this when you see this situation, do this. That's a very basic if then formula. So,
Correct.
so it should be something that system software developers, engineers, whatever they're called, developers, I think they should be able to create. I think that this kind of rule and apply it. So, so yes, denial capture is probably that next priority. As far as having some sort of management tool. Um,
For sure. I think with the denial management aspect of it too, I think just as a builder, um, somebody should have to be working that AR report, right? And I think,
mm,
you start kind of getting into that rhythm and cadence of knowing, especially for certain payers, when you submit that claim, you'll kind of have a better understanding and rhythm as to when that claim should be received. Plus, the system should also let you know when it is acknowledged.
mhm.
But then also too, right, after a certain point, it's like, hey, we need to follow up on this claim, right? And whether you're calling or if there's usually there should be some type of feedback coming in to stay on top of those claims. So that way, if there is an issue, you can work on it in a timely manner and get it out the door again if you have to correct it.
Yeah, we're gonna have a conversation about this topic specifically one day because it's one of the things that is one of the biggest pain points for me when I hear a biller resubmitting a claim for like just resubmitting a claim. I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm sorry. um, what are we doing exactly? Did you make a correction and then resubmit it, or you just resubmitted the claim? Like, okay, so
Yeah,
you're gonna need to tell me more because with technology, as Renee was just describing, with the carriers being able to acknowledge a claims receipt and
yep.
either reject, accept, also confirm that they've accepted it for adjudication or processing, right? Which adjudication, we have a video about adjudication if you don't know what that is. I love that word because it sounds fancy. It just means that they're processing it. Um,
Yep,
but
that's it.
they've accepted it for adjudication, and you have all that history, whether it's in your software built in or in your clearinghouse, then why are you resubmitting the claim without looking
Mhm.
for that information first? Like in this
Correct.
day and age with EDI processing, the electronic processing of claims
Mhm.
and the payment information or the
Right.
status information that comes back, it's a rare occasion that you're just resubmitting a claim or that a claim gets submitted electronically and it gets lost. Like it's very rare. When I say rare, if you
Mhm.
have a software disconnect from your clearinghouse, meaning you're downloading a batch and then someone's job is to upload it, yes,
Mhm.
y'all. I mean, it's people. Sometimes people drop the ball and they forget to upload a batch or whatever, or two every so often. So it can get lost, right? But if the software is directly connected to a clearinghouse, it's very rare that a claim just gets lost. So when you talk about, resubmitting, typically there's got to be something else. What are you correcting?
Right.
Was something incorrect with the claim? There's usually a deeper story in this day and age. So yes, don't just be hitting resubmit, my billers. All right, y'all. Don't just be. I'm like, what? Why are they just resubmitting the dang claim? Like, and then I'm looking in the clearinghouse. It's like 4 copies, and how many billers touched the same claim
Mhm.
and hit the resubmit button and did not
Yeah.
think to look for the status.
Correct. And then you oftentimes will get that, I believe it's the OA code for duplicate,
Yes.
so, but yeah, definitely, you know,
Look at claim.
look at the feedback, that the insurance, I mean, they will send it back to your system and let you know what's
Oh,
going on,
that's
so that
actually a
way.
really good point. I don't think we spoke to that, a software that has visibility to the
Mhm.
clearinghouse status is gold. That is the one really important gift to having a clearinghouse that's fully integrated. I mean, there's a lot of software that say they partner with specific clearinghouses. Like we have one right now that we're helping a client. It's a new software. Um, it is a web-based solution. However, they said they have a clearinghouse partnership. They have two preferred vendors, but they're not integrated. So their preferred vendors, you have to download from their system and upload to those systems. Like, why do I care that those people are the ones that you prefer if you if they're not even connected? What is the benefit to me? Like, I mean, maybe some discounted pricing, possibly, but other than that, there's no connection. So if there's no integration, what exactly
Mhm.
is the benefit? You pick the software, the clearinghouse that works best for you. Don't feel like you're bound to use their preferred vendor when they're not integrated. But if you have a choice, you pick an EHR or a clearinghouse, a PM system, practice management system that has a built-in clearinghouse. So you'll get all that status stuff we were talking about earlier, the claim status
Right.
for submission status, and then you'll also get some payment information. And as Renee was saying, any of the denial codes or rejection codes that come back electronically for process claims, you'll get all that information. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, for me, it's all about working smarter and not harder.
Oh yeah.
I know a couple of you guys mentioned time is a big issue.
Mhm.
Yeah, a lot of the manual things, it does still happen,
Yeah.
but it's about finding that right system that's going to allow you to work more efficiently and get as much as you can out of it.
I like it. So I'm going to share a comment here that I said. So claim inspector rule writing is that easy to be efficient. Yeah. Is that to place the notes in the posting when you don't have to hump for them. I love that. Yeah.
Hmm.
There's when it comes to documentation, like the number of limitations around documentation in a system, efficient documentation where it's going to be accessible for a biller to see it is still something that a lot of software struggle with. Like if you get the status of a claim, let's say a rejection, even we're just talking about ANSI, an ANSI denial code or something on a particular claim, even some of those notes don't come into an easy place for a biller to access it. Like some of that
Right.
information stays in I've seen it like stay in a separate kind of accounting tool. Like, why are we creating extra steps for the billers? Like it should appear and send that information back to the patient's account. Even if it wasn't 100% of the time, perhaps the rules are written just to send back certain denials. That's even better, to have some sort of data come back so that the biller does not have to go hunting, as you said, for the denial reason in the
Hmm.
payer system, right? So very, very good point, a tribe. I love it. I love it.
Yep.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and just scroll up to some of these other comments and questions and things that came through just because I love it. And so Lee, you asked about gastroenterology. So I'm not gonna lie, I don't think I know a software EHR specifically. Like, so this is my thing about billing software from our perspective. It doesn't need to be attached to a specialty. So
Correct.
probably maybe like dental would be nice to have little, you know, access, just little things written that might make it easier because you are, attaching to a totally different specialty type than most medical systems. You can use a medical billing software for dental, but it's
Right.
there's little things that you'll want to be present with dental without getting into the weeds there. But gastro, when you talk about other specialties, like anything else really, gastro, cardio, ENT, all these specialties that have very unique tests that they provide, things that the provider is going to care about, that like a
Hmm.
regular primary care provider or a general family practitioner or your urologist or whatever, like they're not going to care about the same thing that an ENT is going to care about. When I say from the clinical perspective, like that's where you start to get into this place of wanting to please the clinical provider. And that's kind of why, I mean, as much as I love the concept of all-in-ones, I love it because it makes things somewhat seamless for the providers. The problem is that you really, when you think about the vast number of specialties and subspecialties, you really cannot please everybody. You can't please everybody on the clinical side when they have a hyper specialty. When I say hyper specialty, I mean like, someone who's like, we have a plastics provider that specializes in hands, right? And there's even providers that specialize in certain parts of the hands as well. Like, that's like hyper specialized. That provider don't care what an ENT doctor wants to see in their EHR. Like it's a totally different
Hmm.
environment. But us as billers, like we have pretty much the same desires. Like if
Hmm.
you think about like on the billing side, we care about the same information. So truth is, software for the gastroenterologist, I don't know, because it was going to depend on what the actual specialist wants on the EHR side. But as a biller, I mean, you don't need anything special for a gastro. You're just going to want to make sure that the right codes are present for you, both,
Correct.
both ICDs and CPTs and any HCPCS that they bill as well. So,
Yeah.
um, Renee, did
You
you
know
have,
what?
go ahead.
Yeah, one thing I want to say about that too, I think at the end of the day, it really comes down to preference, what works best for you as a biller. Again, there's hundreds, maybe thousands of different billing softwares that's out there. But when you think about your workflow and how you like things to go,
Mm,
because like right now, Jasmine and I, we can tell you what an ideal workflow for a biller would look like, but we also understand that, depending on where you are, depending on the type of client that you're probably dealing with, that workflow may change, right? And
right,
that's okay. But at the end of the day, that billing platform has to work for you, but
right.
also for your client as well, especially again when it comes to reporting. Does allow you to customize. I mean, are you able to
Run
get your work
filters.
done correct, all that stuff? So it's really
Mhm.
more so on preference.
Yeah, and a really good point there, Renee, because you said basically about the role. I mean, some billers, if you are working in a clinic, your view and when you're consulting, maybe with a patient, when I say consulting, like you might have someone at your desk that's asking you a question about their account. Like you're going to care about a different set of data in front of you than someone who's specializing only in like in a larger clinics, a larger billing setting that might be just working on denials, for example. Like their job is to resolve certain kind of denials. They care about a different type side of the software than what you might care about, because you may need to see patient responsibilities and balances. And when someone
Mhm.
who's working denials doesn't care about that yet, we'll say, they're focused on resolving something that is has been denied by a carrier. So yeah,
Yep.
I like it. I don't this so cost is an issue. What is the best software that jeez. Lee, that is the money question right there. Maybe we should wait, because I will tell you, I have a couple of softwares that I love at the moment. But like it is a preference thing, like right now, the take the cake for me is a software called Modernizing Medicine, Mod Med. Um, like as far as has what it needs for clinical, has a provider side, has great dashboards. The analytical piece, they use a tool that's built in. It's a little clunky, a little slow, but all in all, like it has the majority of like the best functionality of what I could see. I've also liked Care Cloud in the past. I would say those are probably for me just personal opinion,
Mhm.
and we're not getting paid for this. Sorry. Personal opinion. No sponsorships in this video at all. Personal opinion. When I say all in one, everything that has EHR, also some of the better technology as far as patient engagement pieces and all of that, more current technology, we'll say. Um, there are a lot of other solutions out there that struggle in certain areas as far as like upgrading, updating. I feel
Mhm.
like those two continue to do what they need to do to stay fresh. And from a biller, like I last session, we did the part one of this, which we'll link it in the comments if you're watching this right now. We'll put it when we post the video up. Is our one of the solutions that we use internally is a biller only solution. It's open practice solutions, meaning I say biller only. They sell to provide to practices as well, but it is built very well for a biller and a billing company. Pricing structure, the style of the software and everything. Um, it though does not have an EHR, so you'd have to have the flexibility to work with the client that has an
Right.
EHR that they would wish to integrate and things like that. But as a biller, like and I've seen a lot of other systems that I've thought were going to be like great, and I was not super impressed. And I'm not going to like say all of the poking the holes in it, but like one for me was Cario, you mentioned earlier. Like I don't They're working on bringing everything into one solution, but they're not there. They still
Mhm.
have their software separated, or at least till last time I've seen it, which was like I don't know, maybe beginning of this year, might have been 2021. And so, when that happens, I think that they could rival another system. But for right now, having systems separated, where you've got, like to go to two different software. They have one that was cloud-based, meaning you've got to install the tool. And then they had one that was online or web-based. And they were
Hmm.
separate. Like an EHR was online on the web-based, and then the PM billing system is on the cloud, which is a tool that has to be downloaded to your desktop. Yeah, and like the system is just not as intuitive as it could be. So yeah,
Yeah.
opportunities.
And another thing too to keep in mind when it comes to, looking at these billing systems, um, sometimes they might try to lock you in for a whole year, 2, 3 years minimum. And
Yeah.
so that's just something that you also have to consider. For me, I'm one of those. It's, I don't want to be locked in for too
Don't
long.
tie me down. That's my Renee comment. Don't tie me down. I don't want to, just for his wife, just to his lovely wife. Everything else he doesn't want to be tied down to. Okay, the kids. I'm sorry, the wife and the kids, but no one else.
Oh
No, I get it.
man.
It's like it gives me anxiety. You guys, I mean, I'm a business
Yeah.
owner, right? I have been for some time now. Gosh, like very close to 2 decades, which blows my mind. But the reality is that like commitments can be very
Hmm.
nerve-wracking once you've been in business long enough, because you get to a point where you realize that sometimes things just don't work. Like it's
Right.
just like a relationship. It's like marriage. It's like I had all those honeymoon jitters. Everything was amazing until it wasn't. And then you're like, now I'm stuck like Chuck, and I got to pay this bill or take them to court or
Yeah.
pay the bill to the attorney to fight them.
Dang.
So you learn quick and easy about that. So yeah.
Absolutely.
So, oh my gosh, a tribe, listen, this comment right here. This is the money comment right here.
It is. It is.
reporting, reporting, y'all, reporting. I don't understand. Like when these softwares, like they've got this gigantic dashboard of reports, and not one is like a basic report that tells you all the, like, it is not a mystery what KPIs
Hmm.
are important to us in the
Yes.
healthcare world. Why is there not,
Yeah.
like, I mean, if you can't make one report that has them all, fine, but there should be like 4 or 5 of the top key performance indicators that we care about as practice administrators, billing
Hmm.
managers, like, providers, provide owners of businesses that are in the medical industry. Like, we care about the same basic things. There is no reason why I have to be like pulling numbers from your system, putting them into my spreadsheet to find out what my collection ratio is, or to add
Hmm.
together to find out how much money my practice brought in over a certain time frame. Like,
Right.
filters, y'all. My developers, some filters, please. Like, please.
and and just the customization as well, because sometimes you may have some providers who may want certain things, that may not come in a already pre-built type of report. So you want to be able to be confident and say, you know what, don't worry, I can add that to this report or whatever it might be. So I think if anytime you can customize it, it's a win right there for you.
I like
Because
that.
yeah, because again, you don't want to have to reinvent the wheel or recreate something because the system is unable to do it. So
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I love it. Okay, a tribe, you're cracking me up with this. Because why is it so hard? Why is it so hard to attach a claim to, I mean, a note to a claim these days? Like, I still don't understand why we haven't gotten like documentation fixed with most. I'm like banging into the microphone. That's how like serious it is for me. But like, why is it so hard for these payers to have like these other parts accessible, like attaching documents for visits, like even referrals and things? Like, there's so many payers and that don't accept documentation, that it's still baffling to me that I don't know at what point, like how many more years do we need to be in electronic billing to get like them to accept medical notes in another fashion other than faxing. Like,
yeah,
why are we faxing so many claims?
exactly.
Like, it don't make no sense. um, yes. Okay, Felicia, you said it too, right? It's true. Like medical records electronically. Like, I mean, I mean, I see some payers portals that are now opening up to be able to upload some some, I'll say that, medical notes depending on the situation, but it just makes sense.
Hmm.
Like if I'm sending you a claim electronically, I should be able to easily attach documentation.
Correct.
If I had a mic that could drop, I would drop it, but it would just be a it would just be a mess. I'm like, just imagine that I dropped the mic.
Oh goodness.
Okay, Lee. Oh, NC Worker. Hey, welcome back. Good to see you. Good to see you. All right. Okay. So, other questions and comments. We're gonna just move slight over to that. The last couple of things. EHR.
I
E-
do want to say
oh,
one thing
yeah,
though.
yeah, yeah.
I do want to say about like how to submit a medical or electronic claim or medical records.
Mhm.
Um, Again, I think it just kind of going back to not just the capability, but if just like you said, Jasmine, when you look at a platform, is it easy for you to navigate, right? I mean, there's people who actually study this, right? Because they study where the eyes typically land.
Right.
And so when they create it in such a way to make it easy to follow, you have a winner there too. So I just want to just
Listen,
reiterate that.
I just watched this video the other day from the YouTube like people that I follow. I love my YouTube. Shout out to video influencers, my whole VRA fam. No, they did this video talking about um, things that you learn from Netflix, like just talking about, and it's the whole video was just talking about psychology, or like the whole discussion was around psychology and the brain and how, and so like everybody in this industry, the entertainment industry, right, like with Netflix and these guys have learned from and capitalized off of such a basic thing as far as knowing what the eyes do, like you said, like knowing, like they know how many pictures that we need to see in a little thumbnail on Netflix in order for us to be attracted to it. They know what color it should be. They know how big the font should be because of just basic, like it's just studying, right? Studying human nature and human behavior. So it's taking that information and applying it so that you actually can create a better product, right? What a concept. Like learn from it and
Mhm.
create a better product. So I don't know why we haven't figured that out in healthcare, but like you said, Renee, like, I mean, it's not a mystery. I'm sure that they probably don't even need to do their own studies. I'm sure there's been hundreds of thousands of
Yeah,
studies by other
yeah,
people, like in the entertainment industry, that you
correct.
learn all of these things from, the basic human nature. I love it. So, all right. So Open Practice Solution is compatible to most EHRs, HL7 conversion. Yes, they are, I'm not going to say most. It's a play nice game, Lee. So like sometimes EHRs do not play nice with a software solution outside of their own, if they have their own practice management tool, right? They're like, get off my playground kind of thing. So they try to kick them out. They don't want to be accessible, and for a lot of reasons. Some of it is because they don't want to access the back end they don't want those systems to be able to access their back end because it's proprietary and all of that.
Mhm.
um, it's basically they just don't want to play nice, and they want you to buy into their PM side. And yes, HL7 conversion is what Open Practice, they use HL7, and they have another way of integration. HL7, those of you who don't know, it's a way that softwares can integrate and talk to each other. It's kind of one of the universal languages. They have a couple of more now, one that's even more advanced than that. I don't remember the name at the moment, but it's absolutely something that that if a software is open, it would be a standardized formatting of data that they would use. In Open Practice Solutions is absolutely one of those systems that if the EHR system will transmit to them, they create that HL7. It's the backend connection, or the other newer version that I can't recall what the name is, and they send that data on whatever frequency you've asked for it. So yeah, and that's part of the reason. I mean, if you look at, I think they might have it on their website, but if you reach out to them, they'll be able to tell you what other systems they're connected to as well. And
Yeah.
I know Savosity, because we have clients on that one, is one of those, and that is an EHR only system. I just can't think of other ones off the top of my head. That one just popped in my brain randomly. So, faxing app. I mean, there's so many that are just that are like HIPAA compliant now, or with encryption and things.
Yeah.
We recommend, like, we use a tool that has, we don't use their videoing. They do video conferencing too, but we'd use their, what is that called? Voice over IP, which is 8x8. So it's 8x8. They have, faxing and all of the other things. Even if you, eventually want to do call center stuff, they have that capability as well.
Yeah.
I don't I don't know, Renee, do you use a lot of just fax only tools? I haven't used one in so long just for faxing.
I remember I looked at several. I know there's one like updocs.com. I mean, they definitely have HIPAA compliant for their fax. I think you have another one that is called, I think, SR fax. But I
I think
know
there's
one
one
that
of those
I
big ones like eFax or something that
correct
I
eFax or even Fax Burner as well too. So
oh,
Fax
really?
Burner is one that I use
Yeah,
as well.
anybody else have fax recommendations that they know are HIPAA compliant, or will, sign a BA and have all the encryption stuff? If you guys know it, go ahead and put it in the comments, because that's a really good question. And we haven't worked with a fax only app in a very long time. So I'm not sure, and I don't want to steer you in the wrong direction. We've had a voice over IP HIPAA solution for a long time. Before 8x8, we had, what did we have? Was it not Ring Central? No, I think Ring Central does have HIPAA compliant stuff now and encryption.
They
We
do.
didn't use them though. We used Grasshopper. Do you remember that, Steve? Backstage, you remember that? He's laughing. Met someone backstage with us. He's laughing. Grasshopper, which they were called Got Vmail before. Totally random fact, you guys. I know you wanted to know that,
Really?
but now you know that. We were with them when they did their name change from Got Vmail to Grasshopper. So,
Oh
um,
wow.
yeah,
I know Ring RX is another one too. Ring
Ring
RX.
RX. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. You can. Of course, they advertise a lot of their phones, but they also have the fax component that is HIPAA compliant.
Yeah, I know a lot of the companies now are doing, I mean, why not, do voice over IP and offer a fax service? Like, just because I'm going to be honest, like, if you're only doing faxing, like, I kind of hope for your, like, selling of your company in the next 5 years. Like, 'cause, I mean, at some point, fax is going to be done, like,
Yeah, for sure.
totally done. So, I mean, some people don't even know what faxing is outside of industries that still stick in that antiquated world. My
I
daughter
tell
knows
you this.
faxes,
I
know that.
when I think of faxes, I think about when back in the days when you used to get on the internet and you always heard that little, dial tone and all
Yeah, the
that. Yeah,
dial tone sound.
that's
DSL.
exact. That's exactly what it reminds me of.
Ding, ding, ding.
The phone rings, somebody pick it up, it kicks you off the internet. You're like,
Right?
what?
Oh my gosh, you remember that? The net zero
Uh,
time. Wasn't that net
oh
zero?
yeah.
Do you remember that?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
code. Oh my goodness.
AOL was like the biggest
I
thing, You've
know.
got mail.
You Everybody was so excited about that sound, that voice. You've got mail. Yep.
Oh yeah.
Y'all. Yes, the dial tone. Yes, the dial tone for faxing is funny. And it's, what cracks me up when people tell me, like, is your fax connected? Like, I've had people tell me, like, call us, like, the fax not going through. Is your fax connected? I'm like, I mean, you want me to go, like, how am I going to check to see if it's connected? Like, what do you think? I have a machine next to me? Like, do people do that anymore? I don't have a fax machine. But I do know that is still a thing, only because I've actually, we were just communicating with the VA of all carriers, and one of she had called the main line, and anyway, and it ended up getting my number by mistake. She kept calling though, so I picked up, and she was trying to fax something, and it was like, I'm sitting here next to my machine, and she's like steady with the machine. I heard her pressing the buttons. I was like, All right now, VA. Can we get some new technology for your people, please? Like, she was legit with a fax machine on her desk. So, um,
Yeah, it's
there you go.
everywhere.
It
It's
is.
everywhere. I mean, fax is still around. Like it just came out yesterday. You'll be surprised. So, but anyways,
All right. All right, y'all. We'll take a few more questions, but if you have more, ask them and we'll get them in the comments if there's some that come after. Let's say if we use an all-in-one, but it's not intuitive, you should get another clearinghouse or PM. I love that. It's true. That is such great advice, Iris, because so many people don't choose to go to veer from their primary solution. This was a conversation we were just having earlier today because of a current situation that we're navigating, and it's exactly that. They're so attached, and a lot of it comes, especially when a practice has been in a solution for so long, and they have a lot of clinical staff that are in primarily in that solution, meaning they're doing their day to day in there. It can be quite a daunting task for them to make a switch, so sometimes they get stuck in that and choose not to do what's right for their business and make a switch.
Mhm.
Or, as you're saying, add in a solution that you know is going to function better, right? I
Correct.
mean, it's just a bad lesson. It's a lesson that people need to learn. Sometimes they need to learn it the hard way.
Yeah.
It's like someone telling you like the best advice ever, but you will never hear it until you experience all of the pain that needs to go
Yeah.
along with it. And then one day you're like, what was I thinking for the last 20 years? But hopefully,
Very true. And one thing I want to add to that, if you're, especially if you're a biller, but definitely for providers, don't be afraid of change. And I get it. If something works, it works, but
mm,
up until a certain time, right? Especially if your business is growing, and if there's a lot of manual tasks that's being done, and you're trying to grow,
mm,
that would not last. I tell
gold.
you not, it will not last. But if anything, you know, vet through the different platforms.
Mhm.
Figure out where you want to be, and if that platform can actually grow with your company.
Oh, yeah.
Whether you're a medical practice or a billing company. So those things are definitely important to keep in mind.
Oh, yeah. I love it. I mean, that's gold right there. Like, just don't be afraid of, I mean, like, we can say it, don't be afraid of change. Just lean into it. Be uncomfortable because everybody's uncomfortable. Nobody really likes change. Let's just be real. I mean, it's just, you
Hmm.
just have to be okay with that place of uncomfort and just know that it's temporary,
Yep,
and just keep moving past it. So,
absolutely.
is a clearinghouse. Oh, okay, interesting. So I like this. I've not heard. So I know that some things in dental that seem super like, why are they not? Why is that not a thing? Like, being able to send X-rays and things like that, right? Attachments for medical notes. Like, that's something that we haven't figured out in a lot of healthcare solutions, a lot of medical, I should say, solutions. So it was called. This is the name that she said, Renaissance Remote Light. I've never heard that before.
Mm-mm.
Cool.
No,
Very
me
cool.
neither.
Thanks for sharing. So here we go. Let's see. HIPAA compliant for, yes. Did you say HIPAA compliant for faxing? They do. They
Hmm.
do. They present the BAA. And you also
Yep.
want to ask about their encryption because some people are like, oh yeah, we'll do BAA because that's kind of all that's required, that you
Right.
understand each other's, security requirements and things, the BAA, but some people do that and then don't ask anything about the company's understanding of the need to encrypt and not to store certain data and things like that. Um so yeah,
Correct.
definitely BA.
Yep.
I like it. Oh gosh, so funny. So I used to live right next to one of the headquarters up in the DC metro area. So I do know that they're still around and they still
Yeah.
offer like really great benefits to their people. Just so that you know.
Wow.
I'm like, they must have buku bucks for doing something. Someone told me they still do stuff in like car sales or something, like they online. I don't know. I don't know
Really?
anything about that, but I do love that we're making you laugh, Felicia.
So I
It's
so
just
you know what?
healthcare, y'all. We gotta make it fun.
I'll tell you this. So I mean, just the fact that we're talking about AOL, So I just typed in AOL.com, and it looks like they kind of converted into like a search engine, almost like a Yahoo and Google type thing, because people literally still have AOL emails accounts. So every once in a while, when people say AOL, I'm like, man, that thing is still around. So yeah.
It's different than what it was, but it's still there. And there's certain people, like I actually, one of the people that one person I really follow and respect greatly, is very against using Google, like for things and just kind of social reasons and things like that. But which I never even thought about that. I'm like, I mean, there's a world outside of Google. Like, I don't like, is that weird? I'm like, what would I do without Google? I don't know.
Yahoo, you got Bing.
I love me some Google, you guys.
I know. I
we
know.
um we are a we're pretty much a Google company. So
Yeah,
we're Google heads over here. So
yeah.
I love me some Google. I will say that we tried to do Google Chrome. We didn't like that. Like not Google Chrome,
Mhm.
Google Chromebooks. We tried to do
Oh
Chrome.
no. Oh
Yeah.
no.
We didn't like that it was so restrictive with all of the tools that we were I mean, it felt like it's like every tool that we were trying to install, like just, or you can't do that. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
we can't.
Yeah.
Okay. So, or it didn't function. So that was our struggle. But other than that, we love you dearly, Google. So, all right, you guys. All right. We gotta jump off this train, but I love being here with you guys, and that's why we always go over our hour
I
together.
know. We said 30 minutes, and
We said 30
little do we
minutes on our
know.
section and then just questions. So we were supposed to end at 45, but we
Yeah.
adore you guys and are so grateful to be back.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful to have my voice again. So celebrating you
Yes.
guys and
Yeah.
excited that you guys are going into holidays and that everybody's still here and laughing, Felicia, laughing with us. So
Abs-
we're gonna go back to our schedule of lives, but we will not be here next Thursday because it's Thanksgiving. But
mhm.
stay tuned because I'll probably do. She said that we owe. She said we owe you guys. I love it. Yeah, there you go. That's why we stuck around longer, Lee, because we owed you guys. There you go. I love that. I love it. Yeah, we're gonna probably do a pop-up or so during this, every time that there's a holiday, we'll just kind of figure out what works. As you guys well
Mhm.
know, we have business that we run, so things are happening
Yes.
and moving. So we've got to work through the holidays, but there's a lot going on during the holidays, and I want to know what you guys are up to. And so, if you are not in the Facebook group, jump into the Facebook group. We're going to be communicating a lot on there, and certainly stay tuned because we've got a lot of really fun stuff that we're going to be doing, including like some
Mhm.
games and some trivia nights and things. So stay tuned for our schedule, and we will make sure we put all of that information in the Facebook group as well. So I appreciate you guys, Renee. Thank you for being here. You
Hey,
and
no problem. It's always fun being a part of this, and I'm looking forward for you guys. And make sure, please tell your friends, your Villa friends, your other Villa friends, and your
your
other
wannabe Billa
Villa friends. There
friends,
you
other
go.
Billa friends.
Invite them in. We want to have a good time, educate, and make sure we're all growing and learning at the same time.
Exactly. Oh, I love it. Yes, wanting people to join the community. This is like, you know, we're cool people
Absolutely.
on this side of healthcare. We cool
Yeah.
people.
You know.
All right, y'all. Enjoy this evening. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Don't eat too much, but enjoy your loved ones. I know Renee, lay off that sweet potato pie. Well, y'all, he don't need no more sweet potato pie. He'll have to tell you next time just how much sweet potato pie he just finished. You don't
Listen,
need no more.
I will send you my address if you want to send me a frozen sweet potato pie. By the time it gets here, it should thaw, and I should be ready to eat it.
I love it. Oh, that's right. We didn't say. Y'all didn't guess it. Patty LaBelle's sweet potato pie. That is
Ooh,
Renee's favorite. Patty
Lord have
LaBelle
mercy.
sweet potato pie, y'all. She can sing and she makes some pie.
Patty. Listen, it makes me want to sing every time I eat it. I'm telling you. I'll be in the kitchen 2 seconds. Uh, uh.
Give me some pie. Give me some pie. All right, y'all. Enjoy your Thanksgiving, guys. We appreciate you so, so much. And we will see you in our next live. Bye, guys.